Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the first reboot episode of Shane's World. This is the weekly show where we talk about the latest and greatest in pop culture news, mostly movies and TV, but you might see some video game news in here, you might see some music news in here, you might see some comic book news in here from time to time, but today we're mostly focusing in on the movie and television side of things. We got some huge stories from Superman to The Exorcist to Scooby-Doo himself, and much more than that. So we got multiple stories here, so if you're interested in any of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now let's dive into these stories. Up first, we're going to talk about the aforementioned Scooby-Doo himself, one of the greatest cartoons of all time, one of America's favorite pastimes, Scooby-Doo. Now, he has kind of fallen out of pop culture a little bit, it feels like, lately, because now kids are watching different stuff, some more mature stuff, some are sticking to some kiddier version stuff, and you don't see like a whole lot of Scooby-Doo merchandise on shelves anymore. It's like Transformers, Pokemon's still around, but you don't see a whole lot of Scooby-Doo, and that and Power Rangers have kind of fallen off a cliff, which is just sad because those two were my favorite shows growing up, and now it looks like Scooby-Doo's coming back, but not in an animated version. It looks like Scooby-Doo's going to be coming into a live-action version at Netflix, which is very interesting. And, of course, we've had multiple versions of live-action Scooby-Doo. We have, what my generation thinks of as, like, classics, like the, I can't remember who directed them, but the Freddie Prinze Jr., Matthew Lillard, Sarah Michelle Gellar ones from the early 2000s. Then in, like, 2009-ish, I think they did, like, 2 live-action ones with Rob EML on Cartoon Network. They weren't nearly as good, and I think they did like some stupid straight-to-DVD, like Daphne and Velma movie a few years ago, but ever since those like early 2000s ones, we haven't gotten like good live-action Scooby-Doo, and I'm hopeful for this one. It could turn out shitty, but it could be good, because it's from Greg Berlanti and his team, who did Riverdale. And I think, you could get a similar premise going with this. And I thought like the first 2, maybe 3 seasons of Riverdale were actually really, really good. And then they kind of jumped the shark and started getting into like mystical stuff and superpowery stuff. Like if they could just keep this show like the first season or 2 of Riverdale, I think we could have actually a really good live action Scooby-Doo here. And depending on who they cast, of course, and what the budget is and all that, it doesn't feel like super cheap. And I'm curious, will it follow the format of like the cartoon of Scooby-Doo, where like each episode is its own thing, its own case, or will it be like a season-long case? I almost hope it's like every episode is its own thing. Like I complained about that back in like the CW shows with like The Flash, how it was like villain of the week every week, and like it was like, oh my god, can we just get to the main story? But I feel like with something like Scooby-Doo, it works. Like it's been proven to work in the animated stuff, and we've never had a live-action Scooby-Doo show, so I'm very curious as to what their approach would be, whether it's like 10 episode, one big case, or there'll be, multiple smaller cases throughout, or maybe it'll be a combination of both. As long as my boy, the Creeper, gets a spotlight, I'm cool, because that's my favorite Scooby-Doo villain. I love the Creeper. I love Scooby-Doo. I'm cautiously optimistic about this potential series over on Netflix. Now, jumping into our next story, this guy right here, Paul Walter Hauser, is having like the week/month of his life, because he's been, every time I get on Twitter, it feels like I see him announced for a new project. He was announced for the Chris Farley biopic that Josh Gad's doing. He's going to be playing Farley, which I think is a crazy good casting choice. And then he was cast in something else too that I can't remember. He was like just announced, and then like the next day it was announced that he's going to be in the Marvel Studios Fantastic Four film, which is what we're here to talk about today, and who he might be playing. Now, a lot of people are saying like, oh well, Marvel tends to do this, like cast like I wouldn't say he's a big name yet, but I think he's going to get there. Like he's right on that precipice for sure. And I don't think he's going to be playing like the guy that collects the mail at the Baxter building like a lot of people have been speculating on. I think Moleman's the popular choice. I could definitely see that. I love Paul Walter Hauser, and it makes sense, if they're going back to like classic like 60s Fantastic Four. Moleman was like the first big villain they faced, so it makes sense if like they fought him towards the beginning of the movie before we get into the thick of things with like Galactus and Silver Surfer and all that. The only thing that's a bummer is, if you believe the rumors, this movie's going to take place in an alternate Earth, and by the end they're going to end up on our Earth. I would assume that this mole man would be of that Earth and probably be like eaten by Galactus or whatever. So it would be like a one-off for Paul Walter Hauser, which is a shame because he's such a good actor. He's such a fun guy. And I think me and him would get along if we ever met in person. Like, we both love movies. We both love professional wrestling. So he's just such a cool guy. And I'd love to see him, like, and a character like Mole Man, he pops up all the time in the different comics. Like, I'd love for him to like stick around and pop up in different things. And there's no saying he couldn't reprise the role as like the other Earths, the main Earth's Mole Man. But I think that's probably who he'll be, is Mole Man. The only other possibility that I think is like a real shot, in my opinion, is the voice of Herbie. You see Herbie, he's on the poster for the movie, so we know that character's coming. We just don't know who's voicing him yet. And it's said that it's going to be a comedian. A lot of people want like Bill Hader or Ben Schwartz. I think both of those are very good casting choices, but I could also see it being Paul Walter Hauser for sure. But I do think Mole Man is the better pick. Who do you guys think he's going to be playing and Fantastic Four? Let's chat down in the comments. And how do you feel about him playing Chris Farley? I think that's about as good of a casting choice as you could possibly get at this point in time. Our next story here includes Vin Diesel and not his family. It's all about the family. Not that franchise, as other franchise that, in my opinion, is kind of underrated, and that is the Riddick franchise. It has been announced today that they are going to be making another movie called Riddick Furia. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's going to be taking Riddick to his home planet, which is very interesting. And as I said, I've always liked the Riddick movies. I feel like they're very underrated. Like, no one ever really thinks of them. At first, when you think of Vin Diesel, you think of Fast and Furious, or maybe even Groot. But I think Vin Diesel has a really good franchise in Riddick over here, and it's different. You know, a lot of times lately, you see Vin Diesel, even in other stuff, like The Last Witch Hunter or Bloodsport. I think that's what that movie was called. He's kind of playing like a version of Dom Toretto. That's not what he does in Riddick. He does something different. He does something fresh and unique and fun. And I really like the universe of Riddick. I like the supporting cast that we always see in these movies. And I'm excited for a fourth one. I've been waiting for, I think, when did the last one come out? Like 2015, maybe? And I think this is a good move because Fast and Furious is apparently, we'll see, wrapping up here with the next installment. So I think it's smart to, maybe kickstart his other franchise and get it into high gear, shift it into action, if you know what I'm saying, Fast and Furious, and, get the more eyes on the Riddick franchise. And maybe if this one does well, we'll get more installments as Fast and Furious wraps up. Riddick could kind of become his, like, big franchise. And I could definitely see him reprising his role as Groot as well if they end up making more Guardians movies, which I hope they do. James Gunn or not, man, I think they set it up perfectly to make a fourth Guardians, and I hope we do, because that'd be a damn shame if we didn't get to see those characters again, because those characters are great, just like Riddick. I'm excited for this movie. I'm curious to see like how many people have seen the other Riddick movies, because they've all done well enough, obviously, to keep the franchise going, but it's never been like this huge thing, and everything's like a big IP nowadays. So I'm wondering how many people are even going to know what Riddick is when this movie comes out, or if they'll like do like a re-release in theaters, especially like the original. The original came out in like 2004 or something like that. It's been like 20 years, but I do suggest you go back and watch those. I think there's 3 Riddick movies so far, and they're all a really fun time. If you like Vin Diesel, go check those out, because this one I feel like is going to be a lot of fun. Our next story jumps on over into the horror universe. I'm a big horror fan, as you could probably tell. Mike Flanagan, who's probably the best horror director / writer we got in the game right now. Like, I think he surpassed like James Wan in my opinion. Scott Derrickson and Robert Cargill are right there alongside him, of course, but Mike Flanagan's truly great. He just wrapped up his deal with Netflix after the fall of the House of Usher. Now he's doing a series for Amazon. He's going to be doing The Dark Tower for Amazon, and now it's rumored that he could be jumping in to replace David Gordon Green, the guy that directed the Halloween reboots and last year's Exorcist Believer. And he could be jumping over and replacing him for the next 2 installments for the Exorcist franchise. Now, I have no interest in these Exorcist movies because that last one was terrible. But if Mike Flanagan's jumping in to do it, I will be there. I will be watching probably more than once because I love him. I love his work. He's never let me down. All of his shows are fantastic. All of his movies are fucking awesome. I love Mike Flanagan, and he's a really cool dude. He just joined Chris Stuckman on his horror film Shelby Oaks, and before Mike Flanagan like blew up into Mike freaking Flanagan, I think like the Hill House just came out. And me and him actually had like a couple conversations on Twitter, because at the time he was going to be directing and writing a I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot that had got shelved because they made that terrible live action show, oddly enough, for Amazon. And me and him just talked about it, like what he would do different from the movies, that he wanted to follow the book more closely. He's just a really cool guy, talking to fans. He's got a really fun TikTok account that he posts to sometimes. And if this turns out to be true, I'll be very excited for Exorcist 2 and possibly 3. If not, just let these movies die. No one cares if they don't come out, but if they do come out, Mike Flanagan is the perfect directing choice for sure. He's top-notch horror directing. And now for our final story, the big news story of the week, the one that just dropped today, the big shebang, the one that's got Twitter on fire right now, is the first official look at James Gunn's Superman suit with David Cornsweet in the suit. Look at this guy. That looks like freaking Superman. You got some stuff going on in the background. It looks like a battle. Now, I don't know if this is like an actual still from the movie. I saw some people complaining like, why is Superman putting on his boots while there's like an epic fight going on outside? I doubt we even see this as a scene in the movie. We could, but I doubt it. This is probably just like a publicity still, because I guarantee they're going to start shooting like some outside stuff here soon, and they didn't want the suit to get leaked by some crappy little cell phone picture, so they put this out, and it looks cool. It looks awesome. I bet that's like teasing Green Lantern there in the back, and the purple stuff, I don't know, it could be Metallo, could be Parasite. I don't know what that could be, but the green stuff's definitely Guy Gardner, who's already confirmed to be in the movie. But I think the suit looks really cool. You got like the collar from like the New 52 style suit. He's got the curls, of course. It's not part of the suit, but damn, it looks good. You can tell Cornsweet's got some biceps going on. The suit's a little dirty, so clearly at this point in the film, the suit's been through some stuff. And I see some people saying like, oh, this suit sucks. It looks like it's homemade. Maybe it is. Maybe it is homemade. Maybe Ma Kent made it for him as a gift for him, embracing his true self and going out to save the world. Who gives a shit? And everyone, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. I see people on Twitter being like, who cares what the suit looks like? This movie sucks. It's made by a pedophile. Have you seen those tweets from 15 years ago? You know what? Get over it. It's just some fucking tweets, man. It's just some tweets. I guarantee you've said worse stuff in your life than what James Gunn has tweeted out. Good Lord. You probably, while you're sitting on your couch in your mom's basement, clacking along your keyboard, making fun of people, probably your mom yells down for dinner and you call her the N-word, for God's sakes. I guarantee that's what these people do. And you're like, you beat Jack Snyder's Justice League. Shut up. Go away. Touch some grass. Find a girl, have some sex. I know you want to. You never have before, but it's fun. I promise you. Go try it out. Or a guy. If you want some guy loving, go get some guy loving. Guy Gardner loving. Huh? You see what I did there? But shut up. Get off the internet. Snyder Junkie XXL6970 or whatever the fuck your username is. Shut up. Shut up. Let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. And just go out and see the world, because goddamn, you're annoying on Twitter, my friend. You are annoying, and you're just trying to drag everyone else down with you, because guess what? Guess what? I like some Zack Snyder stuff. I own all his shit on Blu-ray. But you know what? Some of that shit is straight ass. Man of Steel is great. Batman v Superman sucks. That movie's awful. It's fucking terrible. The theatrical cut of Justice League, not his fault. Not his fault by any means. His Snyder cut, pretty damn good. Shouldn't be 4 fucking hours long to make a good movie. Should not need 4 hours, I'll tell you that. And, like, the epilogue stuff is fucking atrocious. Like, I could have shot that in a Big Lots parking lot with some fat guy dressed as Batman and some local crackhead as the Joker, because that's what it looked like. Okay? So Zack Snyder is not like the god you all see him as. He's not. And look at his Netflix stuff. It's fucking awful. Like, Rebel Moon is terrible. It's Rotten Moon. That's what it is. See what I did there? Rant over. Just go outside, touch some grass, have some sex. I don't care what you do. Get some lotion and touch yourself. Relieve some of that anger. Relieve some of that stress. If you need to, picture Zack Snyder while you do it if you love him that much. Just shut up. No one wants to hear you yapping. But I think the suit looks really cool. Rant's over. I think the suit looks pretty damn cool. I think David Cornsweet looks great as Superman. He looks like a younger Henry Cavill, which is great. And Henry Cavill looks like a younger, Christopher Reeve. Like, these guys look like Superman, and I think this is a great casting choice. I think the suit looks cool, and we might get a upgraded suit by the end of the movie. That happens a lot nowadays in superhero movies, so maybe this is just like his beginner suit, and it changes if we see him again in a sequel or a Justice League film. It changes. I think the suit looks really cool. I don't think this is like a still from the movie for everyone complaining about him lacing his boots while there's a fight. I don't think this is an actual still. It's probably just like a publicity shot, and I think it looks cool. What do you guys think of the Superman not Superman Legacy anymore, I guess, just the Superman costume. Let me know down in the comments below. If you're a Zack Snyder fan, I'm sorry. I'm a Zack Snyder fan too. I like some of his stuff, and I wish he would make some more cool stuff. His more recent stuff's just not for me. I did like Army of the Dead, though. I'll give you that. I did like Army of the Dead. But let's talk about all the stuff down in the comments below. If you're gonna grab some lotion, hey, grab me some too while we're at it. Maybe we can make it a communal experience. Thank you guys for watching this inaugural rebooted episode of Shane's World. I'll see you guys right here next time.